Hey, everybody. This is Katrina from In Cat We Trust, and I am back with another episode and interview for Kicking Back with Cat. And today I have an absolutely fantastic guest, the lovely Ray Lyn. How are you today?
I'm doing great. My dog's barking at the door. Sorry.
Well, I'm so happy to have you on. I have been a fan of your work for some time, both as Ray, but also as Chantilly. And so you have been wrestling for a long time,
Yeah.
10 years, I believe. And so where, I guess, how do you feel about, I guess, how you are in wrestling currently than from when you first started 10 years ago? Because I know there's a
Oh,
lot that's happened in wrestling in general in 10 years.
wrestling has changed so much in 10 years. I have changed so much in 10 years. When I first started, I feel like it was kind of the start of them trying to take women more seriously. But I remember girls being like, oh, they consider it the popcorn match. And there weren't a ton of girls when I started. Um, So it's crazy because there are so many women's wrestlers now, and I feel like we have a lot more opportunities to shine, which is great. I got into wrestling not knowing much about wrestling, so I was pretty bad. It took me a while to get the hang of it and understand what it was because I was thinking I had like a kickboxing and karate background. I'm thinking, oh yeah, super physical, but I didn't think about all these other parts of what it is. Like wrestling is so multifaceted. Like you can't just be good at one thing. You have to be good at a lot of different things.
Yeah. So I know you did say I remember reading this about you before in regards to like your background as far as kickboxing and stuff. Was the hardest part, I guess, for you when you kind of got into wrestling, was it more, I guess, trying to kind of adjust how it is because wrestling is physical, but as you said, and just for me watching people, like it's like you do have to kind of engage with the audience and you got to like have
Yeah.
your character all together, and so those parts can be a lot too. Do you think that was probably the hardest part of it, or was it kind of changing a bit how you had to train, being a little bit different from your background of kickboxing and martial arts?
So I think the hardest part for me was like you were saying, like there's the selling, there's kind of the going to the fans. Like I couldn't do all of those at the same time. Like if I was doing wrestling stuff, I didn't have any character, but I leaned heavily into character until I started learning how to wrestle, and then putting those two together. I remember there were a couple of years where I was like, oh, it's like starting to click, but it was just I felt like I always had a big personality, and then I was like, now I have no personality. So it took a while for it all to come together. It's so much harder than I ever would have thought it was going to be.
Okay. And so you have kind of been at a few places, uh, obviously very different experiences for the places that you have wrestled in. And so how was your experience, I guess, working like AEW, as to, I know you was very, it was like for one match I believe for WWE, but just I've heard different things as far as the experience, even if something like that can be very different than kind of how it is for AEW. And so
Oh
how
yeah.
was that experience for you as far as working in both of those companies that's like kind of big companies, but
So
just kind of
for
getting in there and doing what you do?
Oh yeah. So I was still pretty like new whenever I did the WWE match. And WWE is obviously like up here for everyone because it's been around so long. And when you get into wrestling, you're like, I want to be in WWE. So it was a really short match, but still very nervous. Like, oh, this is what you want, and here you are now. And just seeing how everything runs backstage, it's everything runs like they're like a fueled, or how did they say that, well-oiled machine. Like they are insane, right? As AEW, I was friends with all the girls I wrestled. I'd wrestled them before on the indies. I felt like I was way less nervous about the matches with AEW just because I had wrestled, I don't even remember who all I wrestled there, but I had wrestled them all before. And some of them, like Thunder Rosa was one of the matches I had, and she was one of my good friends. We had like 10 matches. So I was less nervous about those. And I had all the years of experience behind me at that point. So I wrestle on TV all the time for WOW. So now it's just a thing I do, and I still get nervous. I get nervous for every match because I want to do my best, but it's a different kind of nerves. It's like wanting to perform my best. As whenever I was newer, it was like, oh, I hope I don't die. Like, and I hope I don't make myself look like an ass. So it definitely changed over the years. If I had the opportunity now at WWE, I feel like I'd probably be way less nervous than I was in 2016.
Nice. Yeah, I I don't wrestle. I always tell people it's like I do my behind the scenes stuff. I just that's not my thing. I took a bump and I was just like, oh no, like I can't do this every time. And so I'm always just so impressed with women who take those bumps. Cause me, I was like dying that one time and I was like, oh, this is what people do regularly? Like this is a regular thing. Oh no, like we're good. Um so I got into, I guess, WoW more recently. I know they had the other iteration of it, but like I guess the new season of
Mm-hmm.
this iteration of it. And so I was introduced to a few of the ladies there, but in particular your character who's really fun and bubbly and just colorful and all of that stuff. And I think that's one of the things I do like about WoW is just so many different women type of characters that you kind of gravitate to no matter what kind of a wrestling fan you are. And so for that experience, just because WoW is very, I feel, and I don't want to use the word gimmicky because I don't think it's really that. It's just
Campy. It's campy.
yes, that's the better word. Yes, like
Mm-hmm.
very like fun. You're thinking like fun '80s type vibes to an extent where it's just really like, oh, this is fun, like that kind of. So how is I guess that experience working with WoW, and then from up just kind of being in that type of situation rather than some of the other places you may have worked with.
So yeah, while I'm Chantilly Chella and on the indies I'm Ray Lyn, a lot of times on the indies, especially in the past couple years, I'm more of a face. But whenever I was on the indies before, I was always a heel. So Chantilly Chella was really the first time I was like a good guy, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I still enjoy it. And like you said, there's like a little bit of everything for everyone on the show. Um, we have we have women of all shapes, colors, sizes, backgrounds. Like it's awesome. And I just think it's such a cool product. And I wish we had a like wider spread. Um, Back in when I started with them, I want to say that was like 2017 or 18. We were on Access TV and a lot of like the Impact girls were on it. So a lot of the girls that were on it now you see on AEW, you see them in WWE. They're doing amazing things. So we always have had a pretty solid crew there. Um, as far as how it runs there, I don't know. Like all TVs, no matter what you go into, they're hectic. There's always things are going to happen. The card is subject to change, and that's not any different from an indie show to it is to TV. You might think you're match 5, and they're going to be like, "Hey, you got to go first. So and so's costume broke, or someone got hurt." So like things are always changing. They might be like, that actually happened to us once. The girl that we were getting ready to go in, they zipped up her costume. The zipper busted open. Like they had to move a bunch of people up. People weren't ready. They weren't even dressed. And they're like, well, you got to go. I'm like one of those people, whenever it's time, like I get dressed as soon as I get there and I'm like just prepared for anything because anything can happen. Well, especially when it comes to TV, you got to be prepared for anything and everything. The indies can be the same though, too. Like I've been on shows where I thought I was wrestling one person, that person doesn't show up. Now you're in this match, they just throw you in. So you just kind of have to be ready for everything.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen that just kind of being background and doing interviews with people, and I'm like, oh, this is you're really thinking you're preparing yourself, and it's like, no, they changed it. I'm like, oh, okay, let me now prep for this one instead.
That's
And
it. You
so
can never be married to anything, is what I tell people. Like, if you really think, if you're stuck on something, you just got to get that out of your head because it's always going to change.
that's so true. That's so true. Definitely have to be kind of prepared for anything. And so, what were some of your best moments? I guess not only working with WoW, but even on the Indies, because you said you were more heel usually on the Indies and your
Mhm.
face on WoW. And so that's two very different
Yeah.
perspectives as for fans, but also for the wrestler, kind of whatever they're going to give back to the fans. And so, what were some of your favorite moments in the 10 years for your indie career, but also what are some of your favorite stuff since you've been at WoW?
Um, so now within the past like 4 or 5 years, I wrestle more as a face everywhere. I think especially after I went to Japan, like I was a face over there, and then I wrestled in China. That was a lot of fun. Those are two of my more favorite things I got to do. I wrestled Zeta Zhang in China. She's so much fun. Those trips, like I'll remember them forever. Japan was great because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot. about wrestling, and I just got really confident because you're in the ring every single day, and if you don't get better being in the ring every single day, you should leave. um, so those are two of my more favorite things. Getting to wrestle on WWE, even though it was a small match, that was really cool. I think, what was the one I was in? So I got to actually, like I was saying earlier, I got to wrestle Thunder Rosa on AEW in my hometown. So people knew who I was and they were cheering for me. And like, that was really cool too. Whenever like those kind of like full circle moments. I trained at OVW, and then a couple years later I went back and I won the women's championship, which I never thought I would do when I was there. So like things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think, you know, just Thunder Rosa is amazing. And so I feel like anybody just kind of being, around her, it was always like a good thing. Even
Mhm.
again, even for me who's just kind of background type stuff. So I you did mention going to Japan, which I did hear about as well. How was just that experience kind of I know Japanese wrestling is very different than American wrestling. I feel like everybody's told me like if they've done both, it's like way more different and more maybe even to the extent a little bit stricter over there than maybe how we're over here in the US. So how was that experience even going to both Japan and China, which is, pretty awesome, may I add. But just I guess how was that experience as far as working in that type of environment than working like someplace in the US?
So I feel like wrestling's a universal language. It's like what I connected with the girls. Like we didn't speak the same language, but we connected through wrestling.
Yeah.
You do a lot of feeling out. So I feel like, yeah, it was a little bit stricter as in a sense that we trained all the time. And here in the United States, people don't train like that. Like they might have full-time jobs, so they train a time or two a week. But in Japan, like that is your full-time job. You live in a dojo, you train every single day. You might get a day off a week to go do something, but usually that's like recovery. You really only are off if you're sick or you're hurt. So it's just a different mentality. Like they do take it a lot more serious. The crowds were really awesome, pretty respectful. They did like everyone thinks they like just sit there, but like they get excited for things too. I don't know. It was just a really cool experience. China was definitely that was wild, right? So it's pretty new there. I think wrestling's only been happening for the better part of like 8 years. They started bringing people in over there, so it really hasn't been around as long. So the Chinese wrestling fans don't. We have to like teach them what wrestling is because they don't know. The cool thing is though, there were a lot of like people that are working over there from foreign countries. So you have like a lot of Australians over there. You have other people from the United States, and like they'll be cheering, and then you can see the Chinese audience was getting into it. They were getting excited for it too. So that was my experience there. Like they were learning from the Americans and the Australians, kind of like what wrestling was about, which was neat. Like I said, wrestling is universal. It's like a language.
Little guy.
He's grounded now.
I listen. I get. I know a few of my friends who have like pets, or like my significant other has a bunch of pets, and they definitely get a lot of, and they want attention a lot.
He
So
doesn't bark
definitely.
until I have something to do. Like all day, he's just been super cool. And then like the second we started recording, he's just been barking nonstop. I'm like, that's fun. Good boy.
So I know you have also like tagged with some ladies, which I thought were really fun. And so how what are some of your favorite like people to tag with some of the favorite your favorite tag matches you've had over your course of your career so far?
So I tagged with Karen Q at Rise, and our dynamic was so fun. We did this like where we didn't get along and we bickered all the time. So we'd like slap each other in for tags. That was a lot of fun. My favorite match with that, because like the whole place came unglued, it was me and Karen versus Colt Cabana and RJ City with David Arquette on the side managing them. That was probably one of the funnest matches I've had in my career. Like I've had a lot of fun matches, but that one was really fun. Um, Heather Monroe, I tag with her regularly on the indies. We get along so well. It's really fun to travel with her. I hope we get more matches soon. And I also tag a lot with Calvin Couture and Tyler Klein. So we do like a trios thing at Enjoy in Pittsburgh, and our matches are always so fun. I like working with those two as well. I'm probably missing people, but that's okay.
So you said you got to have David Arquette there. How was that experience? Did you get to like talk to him about anything, or is there like any advice he may have given? Because I know he has his, history in wrestling as well outside of his acting.
So he was actually supposed to be in that match. It was supposed to be him and RJ, but he had done that death match like a week or two before with Nick Gage where he got hurt. I think he like it was bad. He had to get stitches or something. And the studio was like, we're going to pull out of this movie if you keep wrestling. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to be in the match. I think I did face him at the end. And on that movie, what is it? David Arquette is Dead or something. There's a scene from that match in it. So that's kind of funny. He's really nice. I had met him a few times before. He's a really fun guy.
Nice, that's cool. I do remember that death match too. It was a lot. Definitely,
Yeah.
can see how he got hurt. It was definitely a lot happening in that match, but it was a cool
Yeah.
match. So, is there, again, you've been wrestling for so long, you've gotten to do some awesome things. Is there anything that you haven't done that you would love to do
I am
when it
not
comes to wrestling?
got to go over to Europe at all. I was supposed to go April 2020, and obviously things happened. And then I was supposed to go again, and then we started filming WOW, so I had to pull out again. So, like, hopefully, before it's all said and done, I will get over to Europe at some point.
Nice. Yeah, 2020 messed up.
Yeah.
It was like it started off okay, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh
Oh,
no.
it was going so well. I had so many fun matches here. It was looking so promising. I was like super booked, and then it was all gone quick,
Yeah,
real quick.
definitely. Definitely that year you're just like, oh, all right, I guess this is what we got happening.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a quick little speed round.
Okay.
I'm gonna like ask you a question, tell me the first thing that popped in your head. Super fun, super easy. So what is the last show you binge watched?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I know I just binge watched something, but I can't even. Yeah, no, pass right now.
Last song you had on repeat.
Oh, just at the gym, I was listening to Childish Gambino, Heartbeat. It was an older song, but I like that, like at the end of my workouts.
Nice, nice. Would you consider yourself a night owl or early bird?
It's such a struggle for me. I think I'm up pretty late. I think I'm getting up early when I'm up at 9. So, but I can do both. Like if I had the switch, I could do it. It's just hard for me.
Understood. Your absolutely favorite go-to snack. No matter what, this is the one snack you need to have either on you or in your home.
I almost always have wild buffalo chips. They're like a protein chip, which are delicious. Always. Like I have to have those and rice cakes. Like I love rice cakes too.
Nice rice cakes can be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Butter on those too.
Popcorners. I'm just like popcorn, like anything like that. I like something crunchy.
Okay, I like that. I like that. If you could have any superpower, what would that be and why?
I think it would be to fly. I think that'd be really cool. Or to like transport myself places. That would make like traveling for wrestling so much easier. Actually, we're going with teleportation. Like that'd be ideal.
Like Nightcrawler from X-Men. I think
Yeah.
he teleported, right?
Yeah, I think that's the power because then I don't even have to worry about flying. I just like go and
Yeah,
I'm just there. I like that. That's what I'm doing.
definitely a convenient power to have. Definitely a convenient power. If you are stuck on an island and you can only have three things with you, what would those three things be and why?
My dog, because he's my favorite. And hopefully, like he could help me hunt. Probably not really. He's a Shih Tzu. He's not helping me hunt. Um, three things are these like luxury items or?
Anything you want.
Well, I guess a machete because like we're gonna have to build a shelter and water so I live.
Definitely. Listen, I like you got companionship. You have something to help you build and defend if needed. and water you can always do things with. So I like that list. It's very
Right.
solid.
I watch Naked and Afraid all the time. So it's like I always look at what they that's like one of my favorite shows. Probably binge watch that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, nice. Solid movie.
Yeah.
Solid choice. And your favorite song or band of all time, if you have.
That's so hard. I always I like things that take me back to other places. My dad was a big Elton John fan. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but it's like one of those things like when I hear it, it takes me back to a good place and time.
Yeah, oh, nice. I like that. So, my final question is I'm going to keep you too long, but my final question for you is again, you had an awesome career so far. Like I said, I've enjoyed quite a few of your matches just on the indies, and I watch WoW I watch WoW all the time, and so I actually cover it. So
Oh,
I
cool.
that's yeah, so it's always just nice again to see women really thrive in wrestling. I do think we've in a better space than we were when I started watching wrestling, like Attitude Era for me, when it wasn't that great, as far as women all the time. But even with all the awesome things you have done, what is something that you would like to have accomplished before you decide that you are done with wrestling?
So I think even when I'm done wrestling, I'd still like to be a part of it, whether it's like helping other girls, which is really like, my trainer posted something the other day, like it's a privilege to be a professional wrestler and we should help the next generation get better. I want to leave wrestling better than I found it. There was some negativity when I started. I like now that it's really not easy to be a creep in society because of the internet. And I like that. But at the same time, I want to make sure like people are learning from each other and we're not trying to hurt each other and we're trying to empower each other because at the end of the day, it might be an individual sport, but it is a team sport. We need to work together to grow together.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a great response. I love that. I definitely agree. Again, I'm not that I'm a wrestler, but just being in the background and doing the little background stuff that I do is just. I've been very fortunate to be around people who've been pretty decent people, but I've
Hmm.
heard stories. I've heard the stories of those who haven't gotten that lucky, and it's always really unfortunate. So I love that response. And so, tell the audience where they can find you and what you got coming up pretty recently, like the next things you have coming up.
So you can find me on Instagram. It's Raystar5. On Twitter, it's Ray_Lyn. This week I am, oh my gosh, why I'm blanking so hard today. I'm at NPX in Texas. Next week I'm at Texoma wrestling Killer Kate, one of my favorites to wrestle. And then I have Mission Hood Slam and Mission Pro Wrestling next month. So those are two fun ones.
Oh, nice. I will definitely, again, everybody have all of that information in the links and comments. So please, oh, he's so cute. Is he wearing a shirt that is so
He
cute?
is. We have matching hoodies. I'm not wearing mine right now though.
Oh my God, I love that. Is so cute. I'm definitely one for dressing up the doggies. So I think that is so awesome. But I will have all the links in the description. Thank you so much, Ray Lyn, for coming on and chatting with me. Again, just super honored that you came and talked to me today.
Thank you.
All right, guys, until next time, we will catch you later. Bye, guys.